We have a great show lined up for you today as we welcome Stark County Sheriff's Office Jail Commander Tim Miller and Assistant Jail Commander Captain Jeff Begue. We will be talking you through the journey today of the jail, the Stark County Jail, becoming the third in the state of Ohio to receive national accreditation with the American Correctional Association.
I am a deputy SWAT operator.
I'm a mechanic.
I'm a customer service associate.
Hi, I'm Sheriff George Maier. Here at the Stark County Sheriff's Office, we are family. We support each other, we lean on each other, and we learn from each other each and every day. There are countless ways to serve Stark County within our agency, and one may just be perfect for you.
I am the Information Technology Director.
I am a canine technician.
I'm a maintenance technician.
Learn more on how you can join our team today and be the difference. Welcome to On Our Watch. I'm your Stark County Sheriff George Maier. Today, we're discussing our journey to become the third county jail in Ohio to receive national accreditation with the American Correctional Association. Good morning, gentlemen, and good to be with you.
Good morning, Sheriff. Good morning, sir.
Hey, I thought it would be important for our viewers to know, and I'm very proud to be the one to inform our viewers, that this past January, the Stark County Sheriff's Office, the Stark County Jail, received national accreditation from the American Correctional Association for an accredited jail. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I know both of you were very integral in making that happen, along with the rest of our staff. So kind of want to, get a little bit of information out to our community to let them know that, our jail is registered with the nationally registered with the American Correctional Association as a jail that is within national standards. This underscores our commitments to excellence. As you guys know, you've heard this from me as in the past, our transparency and the highest standards in jail management, which is very important to me as the sheriff. During the evaluation in late 2023, auditors meticulously went through a series of tests for our jail through the audit process in three principal areas. One of those areas was facility safety and security, which we'll talk through a little bit, which is a very, very important piece of what we do, which is the piece that most people get, okay? We're ensuring that the establishment consistently provides safe environment for both the inmates and our staff that work there. And oh, by the way, that nobody's leaving, right? They're there for a reason and they're not escaping. The other area is certainly healthcare. A lot of folks don't understand, but by law, we're required to maintain a certain level of healthcare standards for the folks that are in our custody and control. We ensure comprehensive, timely, and certainly quality medical care for our inmates. And the last area is inmate services, evaluating the range and quality of programs and services provided to them, those that are in our care. Contributing to inmate well-being, certainly, and community reintegration, and directly impacting recidivism in our community. And we know that that's very important with a number of programs that we have. So, thanks guys for being with us today. Let's talk a little bit about what that looked like, what that process looked like. Captain, we'll start with you.
Sure, yes sir. We were very eager to get started with the process. We had a class held at our facility in April where the ACA came to present what accreditation might look like and how we would pursue it. We went over all of the core standards, what is required as part of an accreditation process, and started to put together a game plan to get to work.
Yeah. And I know it's been a lot of work. This is probably a couple-year process. From when we first started talking about this is what we were going to do, and this is the goal we were setting for our jail, and to the fruition of the process this past January, where you gentlemen joined me in Washington, D.C., where we received our official accreditation for our jail. Yes, so a lot of work went into that, and I'm going to kind of talk through that process, what that work involved, and then talk through a little bit of the why. So, Commander, as the commander of the jail, talk a little bit of why this is important to you.
One of the main reasons why it's important to me, it lets me know as a jail commander that we are doing things the right way. These standards are national standards. They're the top standards in the country, and the fact that we are now accredited tells me that we're doing things the right way.
Well, let's talk about the overall process. We'll start with way back in the beginning. I know you talked about when the team started to prepare for this, and we had to have some training for ourselves, right?
Yes, sir.
I know that I had a meeting with Annette Chambers-Smith, who is the director of the DRC for Ohio, Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, which our jails fall under. And met with her and told her, look, we'd like to have somebody come in and take a look at our jail. She kind of launched this training for us, helped us launch this training. And we have people come from all over, not only just the state of Ohio, but all over to participate in this training that we hosted at the Stark County Jail. So let's talk a little bit about that training.
Yes, sir. We had the opportunity to have, like you said, a wide range of experience. American Correctional Association has typically been geared towards prisons. So a county jail has some unique things that we do in the rate of turnover that we have and different programming that we just can't offer at the county, at the jail level, that they can offer in a prison system. So it was a very educational class. There are 154 total core standards. 47 of those standards are mandatory, which means we have to meet every single one. And we knew then that we would be able to provide a good bit of documentation, some of the things we were already doing in accordance with ODRC guidelines for a normal jail inspection, but this was a step above, which was really intriguing to us and to the staff. So.
Well, how did the DRC, Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, how did they monitor where a jail was? If we're outside of the American Correctional Association's accreditation, so prior to that, what did we do?
Yes, sir. We would do a jail inspection every year based on the Ohio minimum standards for jails. And that is the fundamental guidelines that you have to be able to provide your inmates, your staff, medical care, programming, and it basically establishes the qualified and fundamental rights of the inmates. So things we have to provide and things that we need to provide need to be documented. We need to show quarterly examples to show that we are in fact doing those things over the evaluation period. So when the state, our state representative, our representative for ODRC would come in, he would look through the files, take a tour of the facility, and at that point, then they decide if we are compliant or non-compliant, or what they call a status jail. So, so that was what we were used to with ODRC, and this was on a whole different level.
This is on a whole different level. Absolutely, this is on certainly a higher level, which really allows for agencies to strive, if you will, for excellence within their agency.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I like to put this in these terms for Stark County. Because we have the Pro Football Hall of Fame right here in Stark County, and you know, we honor the heroes of the game. We honor the excellence of the game of football in Stark County through the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I liken the American Correctional Association as the Hall of Fame for correctional facilities.
Yes, sir.
They honor the agencies that are striving and certainly hitting the mark in excellence, and I think we fall into that Hall of Fame, if you will.
Yes, sir.
With the work that we've done to get there today. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, what we did before, what we do now, and you know, there are significant differences. It's certainly at a new level. But as we talk through that, how does that impact our staff?
I think us getting accredited for the staff was very rewarding. A lot of work went into it. There isn't something that one person could have done to get us accredited. It was a group effort. And I think just providing a better understanding for why we do what we do, as opposed to meeting the standard and providing documentation to show, get a good understanding for why, and then providing process indicators for what we do to actually show compliance.
Sure.
So, you know, on January 5th when we received accreditation, it was vindicating. It was, I mean, it just really is a nice thing. The staff worked very hard at every level, from our contract staff to our boots on the ground, to get accreditation, to receive
Sure.
accreditation. So.
And Commander, from your perspective, what do you see in our staff as a result of preparing for this? And certainly, once we received our accreditation, how do you think that impacts our staff?
I saw our staff come together as a team. I saw everybody working together to get this accomplished. Not one, like Captain Begue said, not one person can do this. When they see everybody from the sheriff down putting their boots on the ground and try to get this done, they bought in. They bought in.
Well, I'm glad, because from my perspective, for you guys, it appeared to be contagious. The more we got into working on this project, making sure our policies were in the correct alignment, making sure our procedures that align with our policies were in correct alignment, I start to see a groundswell, if you will, from our staff of excitement to be involved in this. Now, Cap, I got to tell you, in preparation for our session today, today for this segment, I received some communication from you that some years ago, I think it was maybe when I first became sheriff, probably about 11 or 12 years ago, we were on the front page of the newspaper. Let's talk about that.
Yes, sir. It was we didn't do very well on a jail inspection. And the repository headline, if I'm trying to remember the way it was worded, worst jail inspection in decades, I believe is how it was worded. And at the time, it was very geared towards us not being able to meet some of the requirements. We have an old facility built in the early 60s. Some of it's very, very difficult. So for us to be able to kind of regroup and see what we can do to be successful in ACA shows a lot about the mindset,
Sure.
That the staff has and the direction that we want to head. So.
And for our viewers, we want to kind of put this in perspective. That was a time where we were just coming off a significant layoff. Nearly 100 people,
yes, sir.
100 staff members laid off. Jail shuttered to maybe 200 beds,
yes, sir.
from 500 beds. We were going through some pretty dark times.
Yes, sir.
And I know my first year as sheriff, we hired 45 people. And so trying to get that back up to where it needed to be. And I think you shared that with me to kind of illustrate that we've come a long way.
Yes, sir.
In really what seems to be a short period of time for me.
Agreed.
And so we've come a long way to where we are now in part of my terminology in that Hall of Fame, if you will. Work still to be done, though. We're going to talk a little bit about that in our second part of our segment here today. We still have work to do. And we talked a little bit about the core standards of the American Correctional Association. Who follows these standards? I mean, where do we see these standards in other industries?
There's a lot of the same standards when you get to like NCCHC for healthcare facilities. Juvenile centers follow them also, obviously, like we mentioned, prisons. But for us, and a lot of these are based upon the guidelines that we talked earlier, that the minimum standards do cover some. Adequate ventilation, adequate lighting, adequate food service, adequate medical care, programming, be able to contact with the outside, receive mail, get visits, that kind of thing. And down to the safety, even where the chemicals are stored.
Sure.
I mean, it's very, very detail-oriented. 3 inspectors from Washington, North Carolina, South Carolina came through and pulled through every single facet of our facility with a fine-tooth comb over a 2-day span.
Right, and I was there, and I remember that. We were sweating it a little bit
Yes, sir.
during that process.
Yes, sir.
Pretty intense process that they put you through,
Right.
but certainly well worth the reward at the end. You talked about earlier that, a lot of correctional facilities, state prisons, federal prisons fall under the American Correctional
Yes, sir.
Association, so that's good to know. And so we're kind of in par with what they're doing.
Yes, sir. Upholding the same standards. The core standards are defined by the ACA, not by the facility.
Right.
So if there was one thing that happened to be, for example, one that comes to mind, that each individual part of the prison system, we don't have individual parts, we're one facility. So that one became a non-applicable standard
Sure.
for us. So the ones that don't apply were marked accordingly, and the rest of them we had to meet.
Well, great information for our viewers. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about the free Stark County Sheriff's app and the many features it includes to keep you connected. Hello, Stark County. Sheriff George Maier here. In today's fast-paced world, staying connected and informed is more important than ever. That's why we're excited to tell you about a tool that brings the Stark County Sheriff's Office to your fingertips. With our free app, you can receive instant alerts, access important updates, and find community resources. Whether it's checking on jail information, staying informed about local emergencies, or just keeping up with our community events, our app keeps you informed. So take a moment to visit your app store and search for Stark County Sheriff Ohio. Downloading is quick and easy and free. By staying connected, we're working together to keep Stark County safe. Download the app today. Welcome back, and what a great discussion we're having today about the accreditation of the Stark County Jail, the third county jail in the state of Ohio to receive such an honor as for the accreditation. And just for our viewers, there are 68 jails in Ohio that fall under the county jail jurisdiction. Now, 88 counties, so you do the math, you can figure out that there's some community jails that are shared by a number of counties or regional jails. But of the 68, we certainly have the distinction of being the third in the state of Ohio to receive the accreditation. I want to get back into this, gentlemen, and talk a little bit for our viewers so that they have a better understanding of what the criteria, what the areas of impact of our jail that were really looked at by the accreditation inspection team.
Yes, sir. It's broken down pretty well in a couple different categories. One, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, is healthcare. Healthcare is very, very important. No matter what Hollywood might tell you, when inmates come to jail, they're entitled to the same rights that you were on the outside, to have access to adequate healthcare and everything that comes with it. So our medical team did a very, very good job being prepared. They were 100% on all of their mandatory standards that they had. We also have requirements such as being able to be ADA compliant for the inmates with disabilities. We can't just put them in a cell. We have to be able to give them handicap accessibility to a shower area. We have to be able to provide phone services for a hearing impaired inmate if we need to be able to do so. A way for communication. We have to prove that we're doing programming in a proper way. With COVID, that was very difficult. So we had to get creative with what we did to be able to provide our programming. And everything down to documenting every single incident of use of force that we have. The difference between the ACA process and the ODRC, Department of Rehab and Corrections jail inspection, is they come around once a year and look at a handful of examples from a quarter. ACA accreditation, now in 3 years, we have to provide 3 years worth of documentation. It's not a once a year thing. They can come anytime that they choose to. They can pop in and should be able to see us running at that level every time that they come by.
Sure.
So,
sure,
yes,
and
sir.
that's important. Not only is that important for the community to understand, but that's an important piece for our staff to understand. And so when we talk a little bit about the overall process and how it impacts our staff, that is part of the process. Our staff know, and Commander, you can speak to this, our staff certainly is well aware of the level that they're operating at now, and how do they embrace that?
I think they embrace it well. They've actually, this is just the beginning for us. Like you said, we have to maintain this. They're running with it. They're running with it. They're actually doing the job. They're motivated. One of the first things they asked me when we come back from Washington, did we get it? Did we get it? That's what we walked through the door, and that's what everybody wanted to know. They knew where we were, they knew the work that they have put in, but they also know the challenge that's ahead of them. We have to maintain this.
And hopefully they understood the level that they're performing at.
Yes, sir.
Because the level that they're performing at is the level that's striving for excellence within our jail.
Yes.
And quite frankly, you know how I feel about our staff. I think they're superstars. And the work that they do each and every day to keep Stark County safe. You guys know my vision for our agency, and that we are certainly community oriented, and the things that we do, including this accreditation, is to work together to keep Stark County safe and to save you, our taxpayers, dollars.
Yes, sir.
And so this is just another measure of how we're able to do that, because quite frankly, we could see a reduction in our liability insurance for our jail because we've received this accreditation. And I don't know if either of you have any familiarity with that, can speak to that at all. But I received a call from one of our providers in the jail who had actually indicated that they are going to be getting a refund because we have received this accreditation, and that refund is going to come back to the county commissioners, and ultimately to our folks out there that are listening today, our taxpayers, and that's fantastic. Moving on from that, you talked about the healthcare. Well, let's talk a little bit about that facility safety and security.
Yes, sir. The big challenge that we have is staffing, and we're improving and getting ourselves back to full capacity, but the general housing of the inmates doesn't change. We still have violent offenders, more so than prior to COVID. Now with post-COVID, most of our jail are violent offenders. So we have to make sure that we're doing things the right way and maintain our training and safety to keep everybody on both sides of the bar safe as they navigate the legal system. So.
Now, Cap, you also have a role within our agency as the jail training commander. And so one of the things, and this is part of my vision for our agency, is training. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we always continue to train. And I feel like training will make our agency better. And so training is really part of this accreditation process. Yes. We had to train our folks to understand and to prepare and to accomplish the process. But we continue to train. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. We just started yesterday. It was our Basic Corrections Academy. So we have 22 attendees from 5 different agencies in attendance, where they're learning the basics and being ready to test for their state corrections exam. We have our quarterly in-service that's offered within the jail division for all the current staff. So it's not just a learn the academy and be done. We're doing continued training through the year to make sure that we keep our staff engaged, make sure that they understand new and emerging trends in corrections, and ways to keep up with all the legal changes that take place, especially usually updates through court cases or things that come about through different litigation. So it keeps us up to speed with all the national trends.
Yeah, so. And not only that, it allows them to keep up the speed on taking care of themselves.
Yes, sir.
And being safe within the facility, because we are, you know, a closed facility. It's a correctional facility. It's a secured facility, and sometimes things happen in that environment. And so we also train our people how to be safe, not only be professional, but to be safe in what they do. And so that's fantastic. And I know as part of the segment, I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to see it, but as part of the segment, we certainly offer up a recruitment video. So when you talk about the staffing, I want to talk a little bit about that as it relates to corrections all across the country. The average lifespan of a brand new corrections officer, time in seat, is about 18 months.
Yes, sir.
People don't stick to it, okay? Right. We're finding more and more that it's not necessarily something that people are attracted to do. Mm-hmm. And so we work hard, you work hard, our agency works hard to try to recruit and retain those special people, those people who have the gift to be able to be in this line of business and to care for others who are certainly in an incarcerated situation. So yes, we continue to work on that. And for our viewers, if you know somebody looking for a job, watch our recruitment video, because we're looking for folks to come in and fill those spots. What are some of the key areas that you had to focus on, Captain, for the preparation for the accreditation?
The 150 plus standards, Sheriff. I'm making sure that we had everything covered through policy and through documentation that we had. We needed to meet 100% compliance on all of the mandatory standards, and we had to be at least 90% of the non-mandatory standards. At the end of the accreditation process, we were awarded 100% compliance on mandatory, 95.2% compliance on non-mandatory standards. The ones that we didn't meet compliance on were strictly related to the square footage, for example, of the old jail built in the 60s, not meeting ACA compliance. ACA wasn't a thing until the 90s. Not much you can do about some of those. But we were really pleased with being able to control what we can control and represent our jail and our staff in a positive light
Well, and I think that work continues, does it not? I mean, this is all part of the process, the accreditation process. We continue that work. We continue. We want to improve that. Would you say 95.2?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so we want to continue to raise the bar for our agency. And so I look to the commander, and you know, we're in serious discussions with an architect,
yes, sir,
with our county commissioners on how we can improve the facility. Let's talk through that a little bit. Where are we with that?
So we're actually in phase 1 right now, which is the conceptual design phase. So we're kind of meeting with them every other week, I apologize, and kind of they're getting our vision of what we need to be a little more successful in building a new facility, or making some renovations to our older facility.
And more we have specific needs as it relates to drug addiction and recovery.
Yes, sir.
We have specific needs as it relates to mental health issues that, quite frankly, our jail in the early 1960s was not designed to manage. And so those are the things that we're looking for some relief on as we manage that population, which is a big part of our population today. One of the things I want to say, I want to put the disclaimer out there, this means no new taxes to our residents, because you have our commitment that we're working together with our partners to make this happen and save taxpayers' dollars along the way, and so we'll continue to do that. Gentlemen, this has been quite an undertaking for both of you, and I know you're both very, very proud of this accomplishment, as I am. As we move forward, what's some of the things that, what advice would you give to our staff to stay positive and to stay on top of this?
I would tell them to continue to do what they're doing. You know, like I said earlier, the ACA standards are the highest in the nation. So obviously we're doing something right. Continue to do the job, continue to support one another, continue to work together as a team.
Well, that sounds like a good place to segue into our closing. I want to thank our guests today for joining us and for all their hard work and the hard work of everyone who had a hand in helping us achieve the honor of a nationally accreditation for our jail by the American Correctional Association. To our viewers, as always, thank you for tuning in. Remember, we're always working together to keep Stark County safe and save you taxpayer dollars.